Hello, everyone. Welcome to the No Zoo Lines podcast. My name is Ari. I'm joined again and by my great friend Chad, who is now in Kentucky doing a C4C training week, and he's all over the place. We'll get to that in a sec because I'm going to ask some questions about that. So this is episode 9. We're excited to chat about this. This episode is going to touch on the topic, is your system fight functional? Now, recently, probably a couple weeks ago, there was a video that came viral on the internet of a police officer in Canada who was attempting to arrest a rather large individual in the middle of an intersection. It ended up being a taser incident. And many of you have probably seen it. He ended up getting the back of this person, taser still in hand. And Chad and I had a great discussion about this. And we realized that after this happened, everyone came out of the woodwork and decided to do a video on what that officer did wrong. Chad and I have a little bit different take on that, and we're actually going to talk about what the officer did right and also what these videos are failing to discuss or address, which is a massive problem. So welcome, Chad.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to see you, Ari. And yeah, we're having a great time here in Kentucky. It's flipping cold and it's been snowing.
Yep.
But it's amazing. We've got a great room. We've got 20 plus cops in the room. 10 plus brown or black belts. Multiple officers who have actually fought at some point.
Mm.
It's really good room. Several officers who coach away from their department, and the majority of them are currently coaches within their department. And the majority of people in the room hold at least a belt in Jiu Jitsu. So it's a good room.
Love
We
it.
probably got about 6 to 7 out of the 20 plus that are fairly new to training. And 2 of those are training with some of the experienced guys at departments. So we're seeing more and more people training who are going to go and train other police officers.
And we often get messages to No Zoo Lines podcast actually about C4C PJJ. So just to let you know, go to c4cpjj.com, and that's where Chad has his seminars and workshops and stuff that he's going to be doing. So it's listed on there. If you want to go look and you want to attend, which I highly suggest you do, check out the website and sign up because it's well worth it. It's an intense week too. It's not sitting around and you're not going to be sore. It kicks your ass, but it's worth it in my personal opinion.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. We're having a great time. We get great reviews and
Good.
really give a department or training staff a ton of resources that then they can take and integrate. The other thing that's fairly unique about us, just really quick, is we are totally okay with you taking what you like and retaining stuff you already like, or maybe stuff that's state mandated. You can mix and match and assimilate our stuff into your program or use it as the program. Either way, we're good. We just want to provide these resources. So,
Which is a great segue on to talking about is your system fight functional? So, of late, or in the last, I would say 5 or 6 years, there are more police style jujitsu and combative businesses that have come up. I would say the majority of them are actually quite good. There's some that are not,
sure.
but that is the nature of how business works. Now, we're going to be talking about, is your system fight functional? And what does that mean? So Chad uses this term a lot. And Chad, can you just discuss essentially what a fight functional system is and how it benefits us as police officers?
Yes. So first of all, I'm going to refer to some notes, guys. I'm getting older, so I need to put on my glasses. We are huge advocates for grappling, and specifically jiu-jitsu has to be a part of your police curriculum. It is necessary. It needs to be there. And you need to find either good coaches or officers within your department and send them out to develop law enforcement specific curriculum that has a strong grappling and jiu-jitsu base. So I want to start by saying both Invictus and PJJ, both you and I have championed the fact that we must be training jiu-jitsu and other grappling arts such as wrestling. And so I want to preface this with that so people don't feel like I'm attacking jiu-jitsu or jiu-jitsu gyms. That's not the intent. What I want to do is say, is your jujitsu fight functional? Meaning for the fight you're preparing for. So, an example of this, I have coached at Extreme Couture MMA in Vegas for years. I've also coached at other gyms that are a similar goals, which is we're going to train jujitsu, but we're also going to train striking. We're going to wrestle. We're going to train in a mixed format. Now, for your jujitsu to be fight functional, I believe you need to train in a mixed format. If you don't train and punch each other in the face or introduce weapon systems, especially for law enforcement, you're not getting the full return on the investment of training in any martial art, and specifically in jiu-jitsu. So fight functional jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu that prepares you for the fight you're going to be in. If I'm going into a gi tournament put on by the IBJJF and I'm a colored belt, there's going to be certain rules for that tournament. And for my jiu-jitsu to be functional for that tournament, especially if it's a gi event, I need to be wearing a gi. I need to understand the rule set. I need to understand how scoring works. I need to understand what's not legal to do. And I don't even have to worry about strikes or multiple opponents or weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So I could get a lot out of just regular gi class for an IBJJF event. Let's say we're going to go to Fight to Win or an Eddie Bravo, an ABI, or ADCC. This is a vastly different tournament. And so if I were using jiu-jitsu in those settings, and you're certainly going to, I'm going to have to adjust my jiu-jitsu, my preparation, and the outcomes I'm seeking. Another example would be mixed martial arts. Jiu-jitsu and MMA is vastly different than IBJJF jiu-jitsu. So to pretend that I could train IBJJF focused gi jiu-jitsu and have that fill in all the gaps, as for me as a police officer, is not it's not accurate. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say is your jiu-jitsu fight functional, I mean, is it preparing you for the fight you're going to be in? If you desire self-defense or law enforcement or military as any of your goals in your training, you must account for striking. It must be part of your curriculum. You must hit each other, and you must account for weapon systems if it's going to be self-defense, military, or law enforcement. You also have to account for things like multiple opponents or how to be aware of my surroundings and how to not just get into a fight with this one guy. And so my goals and my outcomes change dramatically. So fight functional jiu-jitsu is making sure that my jiu-jitsu training actually accounts for what the fight is going to require, not what I prefer. You can prefer IBJJF or gi all you want. And I don't think it's wrong to train gi and IBJJF to expand your skill set. There's nothing wrong with that. But you also better spend time doing takedowns, defending takedowns, getting punched, having to strike. Can I strike from the clinch? Can I use a wall or an object? Can I use that against my bad guy? Can I use that offensively for myself or defensively rather? So that's what fight functional jiu-jitsu is.
I watch a lot of social media stuff. I would say that there's probably 6 or 7 police jiu-jitsu style companies that are consistent with their material that they're putting out. I'm not saying that there's not more, because there are more, but the ones that you keep seeing up in your feeds. And the thing that I see across the board is we're seeing people do wrist weaves. We're all doing the same stuff. Now, this is either because we've learned it from somebody and then they branched out, or we've rediscovered it, or we have started to evolve. So this is what I was going to talk about. PJJ and BJJ is a living art, which means that it is currently evolving. And I see you do this all the time. I do it, and lots of people do it, where, hey, we've run into a situation that we haven't accounted for. We're going to bring it to the mats and we're going to start working it out. It is not static. It isn't a series of moves that doesn't evolve. It is always evolving. So this brings me to a point of, are there police systems that are out there that are not training their officers to fight with something in their hand? Or what happens if a weapon is pulled? So this is going into that video that we saw in Canada. So Chad, let's talk about the cookie cutter techniques that we teach, that we see all the time, and then the oh, welcome to reality and the oh shit factor when you're fighting a massive dude in the middle of an intersection, you have a taser in your hand and you're trying to get back control. So let's I guess talk about that video, and what you saw and the pros and the cons to it, maybe.
So one of the things that irritated me about that video, and the only reason I got involved in that, I typically will not post random videos with no background of police officers struggling to try to sell spots or pump up my company or whatever. And we can talk about that later in the thing, but this specific video, one of the things that bothered me is I saw people cutting that video and doing a snippet. In particular, one very very famous account took that video, cut it way down till he's on the back. He goes to drive stun him. The guy's bucking up, and then he bails off. And this guy makes this post about this and says, "Oh, this is over reliance on the taser, and this guy needs grappling, and he specifically needs this company that's currently out there teaching cops."
Yeah.
And this guy's a shill for the company, and that's fine, or a fan. He's probably a fan of the company. He's not a shill.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fan of the company. His video had 16,000 likes because he's a very prominent person,
Mm-hmm.
and he had 1,400 comments. So you start going down in the comments, and the comments are all just ragging on this kid. Lack of skill, like a small child, shouldn't be a cop. Oh my goodness, if I was there, I would have put my hooks in. I would have done this breakdown and this jujitsu move. Cops need jujitsu. They showed, for one thing, there's more of the video you could easily show. You cut that video down.
Mm-hmm.
You cut it down to a couple seconds of this guy bailing off the back, and then all the comments, none of them were productive. If the kid sees that video and he reads those comments, what would make him want to train? What would ever make him want to have anything to do? If he doesn't have anything to do with jujitsu people,
Mm-hmm.
why in the hell would he want anything to do with any of us? When he knows there's a lot more to that video. He knows you took that video of him and cut it down to make a highlight that's a low light. And then every comment is utter craziness. And so that irritated me enough that I had seen the full video. And full disclosure, a PJJ affiliate had reached out and said, I want to do a video about this. And there's an upcoming class in Canada, and I want to link it to the class. And I said, absolutely not. You're not going to do a video and link it to the class of an unknown guy. Now, my guy is not a bad guy who was asking me to do this. When I'm not mad at him.
Yeah.
And he was calling me because my name ultimately is on it. I said, you will not do that. And I said, a couple things to think about. Do you even, because at that point we didn't know what kind of call it was. Do you even know what happened before the video turns on? Is this guy a robber? Did he rob a bank? Who did he run into? Did he run into the cop? Is the cop already injured? Have they already fought before the video comes on and the taser comes out? The video starts, it appears to be a good tase with prongs deployed, bad guys down and coppers moving in. How far out is cover? Does he know how far cover is? Does he think the guy's armed from the call? Do you even know? I said, you could post this video of this kid doing whatever and make a breakdown with good intention, and his department can see it and go, we don't like that he did this, this, and this, and we don't like that this attention's coming. His department could SOC him off our video because we don't know what's going on in that video.
Right.
Now, if he did something against department policy and they SOC him, he can deal with that. But I don't want to be the impetus for that. I said, since you live in Canada, get a hold of the guy, talk to the guy and ask him if you can use his video. Ask him what was going on in his mind. you he was going to do the typical, hey, here's a video, and hey, if anyone knows this cop, I said, if you care so much about that cop, go offer his whole department free training. But we're not publicly gonna, if anyone knows him, please let him know. Like, do the work and go find out who he is and call him and
Right.
invite him. But we're not going to tell anybody about it. And that may or may not be happening. Okay. We're not going to announce it. Like, if you care about this dude, get a hold of this dude. It's not hard because this other person's in Canadian law enforcement, right? So, so I started looking at the video, and there were video after video after video being made of this kid's performance. And in all the videos, none of it mimicked what the kid was doing. I had guys, and even some good guys that I tend to like, who are on a mat, in spats, in a shirt, not in the middle of the street, not while cars are going by,
Mhm.
not in a live event, with someone their size or smaller, and they're showing techniques with both hands, even good dudes. And so I started commenting, hey, put a taser in your hands now. Go ahead and show me that arm extraction. You know, now some of these people were showing the whole video. And so I got it finally involved. And that's the one video you'll find on my feed of a cop's performance in the street. And I went and had multiple comments about it, about what he did well. It appears to me he's by himself. It appears to me he has a suspect that at least ran from him and had some kind of collusion. He has tased that individual. He's moving in for custody. It appears to me he has got a successful tasing. And I haven't talked to him out of fairness. I have not talked to him yet. It appears to me he doesn't know what to do with the taser as he closes. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes, maybe why that is. And then he starts to take a top position. The guy starts in mount. He never gets reversed. The bad guy turns. He stays on top. He never gets reversed. The bad guy at one point makes kind of a little gun grab. He defends his gun. He tries to punch him once. He doesn't do a great job there. He's trying. The bad guy's kind of struggling up. It looks to me like he thinks of gift wrapping him. And as he begins to turn him to go belly down, he realizes, oh crap, my taser's on the ground because I didn't know what to do with it. So I put it down. So now I've got a live weapon system in a real event, in an environment, in a situation I've probably never been in. And he decides to pick the taser up, which is not a bad idea because the guy's going belly down. He doesn't want him to arm himself. So now he's got back. He goes to drive stun him. It doesn't work. He stands up and disengages. One of our core principles, we have 4 core principles for cops. One is to remain mobile. He doesn't put his hooks in, so he remains mobile. Another one is to create angles. He's on top. The guy turns belly down. He has an angle. Another one is don't be afraid to transition. Don't be afraid to not stick with what you're doing. He decides to transition and disengage. And another one is control distance. Those are our 4 main principles. Well, he doesn't violate any of those. He eventually gets off the guy. Then the guy gets up, goes to his truck, arms himself. Kid transitions to gun. They have a conversation back and forth. At some point, another person comes, they tase him, and they take him into custody. Successfully, him and a partner. The comments are the craziest thing I've ever seen on this kid. Now, on my video, I got 1,200 likes and I got 108 comments. Out of those 108, there was some critiques. All the vile comments were gone. It was, hey, he could have done this better. Hey, he could have done this. I wouldn't even mind that as much. But the initial videos of these kids are literally jiu-jitsu guys spewing hatred towards a guy and basically calling him names. And it's just not productive. So that was very irritating for me.
You and I talked about
How
this.
about you?
Yeah, well, we talked about this in a previous podcast about how we eat our own.
Yep.
And if you want to get people to the mat, the last thing that we want to do is insult them and tell them how shitty they are. Because it's tough. I mean, you can understand that police officer he knows that those comments are on there. He knows this is viral. He's got to go to work every day. And I see this happen a ton. And I think you're correct. There are businesses out there, cop businesses, that will take the time, as you had pointed out, to say, hey, let's get this officer out and we're going to do a video with them in our facility and we're going to talk about how you loved our stuff that we've done. And it's they're using that cop as a promotional thing. And I love what you said. It's better if one of our companies invite him and no one knows about it and he gets the training he needs. End of story, because that's the true thing that we're trying to do. Now, I agree with you about that video. I think he didn't violate any principles. It's very easy to Monday morning quarterback that kid, but I think he did, considering what was going on and considering probably his training background, he did well considering, I think. And
I've seen her.
That's a big dude, Chad. There's a size difference there. He
So
didn't
let's go over fight functional things for a jiu-jitsu gym.
right.
If your gym doesn't start on their feet ever, you're not getting prepared for that event.
Right.
So all you guys who are saying a blue belt female at my gym could hold him down. No, she could not. I've been doing this a long, long time. It's not that there is no blue belt females worldwide who couldn't have held that big kid down. Maybe there are. They're few. That dude will stand up.
Yeah.
Oh, well, she'll take his back and choke him. Yeah, well, that cop doesn't have that option. So that's nonsense. If your gym doesn't punch each other in your jiu-jitsu training, knock it off. Stop critiquing dudes in the street that are dealing with real fights and go back to critiquing IBJJF gi jiu-jitsu matches, which is cool. If your gym doesn't train with any weapons, training weapons, I mean, clearly,
Yeah.
knock it off. I don't need your opinion. Like, your opinion's not valid. If your gym if you choose to not roll with bigger guys in your gym, you shouldn't be voicing an opinion. Big Cam Cousins, I got dudes who avoid him. I'm 57 years old this year. I roll with Cam Cousins. Like, knock it off. I don't want to hear your opinion. If you go to a tournament, hey, every tournament should stop having weight classes and we shouldn't have belt levels because you don't know how experienced or not experienced this guy is. Right. So let's just have tournaments where you show up and you fight anybody who's there. There's no weight class. There's no belt either. You just compete against whoever you get matched up for. How many jiu-jitsu guys are down for that? And if you're not, I don't want to hear your critique of this guy in the middle of the street on a live event where, guess what? If he finishes second, he might die. So I don't need your critique. The idea, another one was he lost dominant position. This should have never happened. I literally watched dudes lose mount and back control over and over in the gym. There are people who won't take mount because they are so afraid of getting rolled over or getting put into guard. They won't take mount. They'll stay in side control. So don't tell me that people don't lose dominant. Every roll is an exchange of dominant positions.
Right.
Like, I literally have never had a roll with a good dude that we don't have exchanges. Guess what happens when you think you should get it in a street fight or in a law enforcement encounter? If I believe I'm going to exchange, I should just disengage, which is what he did.
Yeah.
Which is good. Good for you. He felt like, I can't maintain this any longer. I'm going to make space and I'm going to reassess. There is zero wrong with that. That is a good choice. Oh, he got to his truck and got a hatchet. So what? Then I get my gun out, which he did.
Yep.
As soon as he gets the hatchet out, you shoot him. Have you never pointed your gun and talked someone into putting a weapon down? All that screams to me is you haven't done any police work. I have pointed my gun at so many dudes over the years. I pointed my gun at people who are armed and had conversations with them and moved around a little bit until they put crap down. Now, I'm not getting back down the street. I'm not afraid to shoot people. I just don't want to have to shoot people unless I need to shoot them. So I use things like distance. cover, communication. And if you have no experience doing that and you're a cop, all I know about you is you don't have a busy place. You're a cop. I pointed my gun at countless dudes and not shot them. So this idea, now that's not saying he couldn't have shot him and been okay. That's not saying he could have maintained back mount and been okay. I'm okay with those conversations. And that's not saying you couldn't, even if you trained with him, go, hey, from this spot, you could have done X, Y, Z. These are options, buddy. Or say to him, hey, why did you feel like you needed to disengage? I didn't know what to do with the taser. Had you ever thought about just putting it back? No, you know what? I hadn't. Still, So why would this kid do it? Someone might say. And I would say, because that's the situation he found himself in. And we can't train for all eventualities. And there are times where I might have to do it alone, but that's not best practice. I would like to have a partner with me. When you guys simulate the taser, then with a partner with Overwatch, do they have you holster your own taser with leads downrange into the suspect? Or do you hold the taser and hold the suspect, for lack of a better word, and someone else does a handcuffing?
That is how we do it. We will hold it and wait for the handcuffing officer to come in.
I guarantee you 1,000%, and I'm speaking a little out of school because I don't know, but I guarantee you their training says someone else going to handcuff that dude for you. And he just happened to find himself in that situation. And so he tases him. It looks like he has a good tasing. The video picks on after that would have happened, but bad guy's down and he has a taser out and it's deployed. It looks to me like that's a positive tase. He then moves in and I can tell. And once again, I am guessing a little bit, but I see his uncertainty. I know he doesn't know what to do with the flipping taser, and what he should have done is just put it away. But I don't mind that he doesn't know that and that he can't figure it out. What this event actually does is it highlights why you and I encourage guys to train. Because under an elevated heart rate, under compressed time, in rapid, tense, uncertain circumstances, with a real life threat on the ground, not a training buddy, not another cop, there's not a scenario, there's real life. If you have to try to find the answers to these problems in that moment, you're going to struggle.
Yes.
And that's why you and I advocate training so much. But even having said that, I'll guarantee you, if you had a good attitude about this and you actually reached out to the kid and you were able to have a conversation with him, you could identify 2 or 3 things he could do better. You could drill those 2 or 3 things with him. And the next time he does this, he would do much, much better.
Yeah.
Because he's probably been in this situation 0 times. I don't know what the pursuit policy is at his agency. And I don't know how long he's been on, but he looked fairly young. I doubt he's been in more than a couple pursuits. This was a pursuit with a bad accident, with people possibly injured, with divided it. You're in the middle of an intersection. It looked fairly busy. You're in a city environment. He's got so much divided attention going on as he closes with this guy. I'm trying to see if the guy has weapons, trying to see where his hands are. I don't know what to do with my taser. I know I should get on him because I'm going to try to handcuff him. So I go to mount and I don't know what to do with it. And suddenly it goes on the ground. That's not a crap show. That's a dude in a real life situation trying. He's calm. He never overreacts. He never gets reversed. He never gets put in a bad position. He retains his weapon system, even though he could have done it better. He retains it. And he eventually says, I just don't want to be in a fight with this guy in this spot right now. And it is perfectly okay for him to go, I'm going to get off. Like, we literally teach that. The answer is not, okay, well, here now I'm going to do more jiu-jitsu and I'm going to do more jiu-jitsu. I'm going to do more jiu-jitsu. It's not a jiu-jitsu match.
Yes.
It's who cares if you make space and, oh my goodness, he got up and went to his truck. Someone might say he could have pulled a gun. Well, the kid pulled his gun. And then we're getting into a gunfight right now. And that could happen. But that could happen when the guy came out of the truck. He could have pulled up to the wreck at the intersection, gotten out, and the guy could have had a gun or a hatchet. So it's like, just don't be a police officer. Go do something else. if you can never let someone get back to their car, let him get back to his car. He pulls stuff out, you switch. He did switch. Even there, the kid doesn't know what to do with the taser. Do you remember, to my knowledge, where it ends up? He he unasses it. He gets rid of it.
Yeah.
Which is the worst thing in the world. I don't really care that much, but that's another training point, potentially. Hey man, let's not put any gear on the ground if we don't have to. Put it back in its holster at that point. At that point, you clearly don't have connection anymore. You're not worried about breaking it. Just reholster it and go to your other weapon system. That's a training point.
So it's funny you say that. So the other day, we were doing some taser training and teaching, and I was with a couple of the instructors at my department, and we're running through these scenarios. We did these virtually. A pretty cool thing. But anyway, so it ends up being a taser incident that goes to a firearm. So taser doesn't work. They are now brandishing a weapon, and now we have to ditch the taser and go to firearm. So everyone did something different. For me, I didn't want to hesitate and either take time to try to reholster it. So
That's
what I
fine.
did is, so all I did is, for me, is I drop it at my feet, I put my foot on it, and I'm drawing my weapon at the same time. That's what I'm doing. Another officer ends up taking the taser and actually chucked it away so the bad guy couldn't get it. So he had enough time to draw and got on him. And I think those are both winning scenarios, in my personal opinion.
I don't think there's one way to do this.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Prior to you doing that, had you received any specific training in regards to what to do with your taser when you have to transition like that? Or did your department create the training to see what you might do, to put you into it and have you make a decision?
It was a decision-making process. We've never covered that particular kind of incident. And the only reason I did what I did is because of the training that I do. And I knew that I didn't want the bad guy to get it. And I wanted control of my other weapon system. That's what I did.
How did the officers running the training critique you guys? Did they break it down and go, hey, you chose to do this? And did they ask you, why did you do that? Or did they comment on it? What was the back and forth?
The comment was pretty simple. It was just like, it was love that you ended up standing on your taser. I mean, that was pretty much it.
Did they ask you why?
Why? They knew why. I mean, it
was evident. It was evident.
It's a seasoned room. They knew why I was doing it.
Perfect. It was evidence that you knew where it was, you were retaining it, but you were switching force options.
Yeah.
And let's say that guy starts to comply and he goes down to his knees, he prones out, he puts his arms out, he crosses his ankles, he turns his head one way or the other. You can always step off of it, reach down, pick it up, put it away, move. Yep. You can always leave it there in advance.
Yep.
And go into cuffing. You can always call for another car, get 2 or 3 more guys there and say to one of them, hey, my taser's on the ground right here. Be aware of it, get it. We're going to move up, action team, whatever. So those things are good things. I like that kind of training. I'd be curious if this kid's ever even experienced that. And listen, at the end of the day, our job is you have to make decisions and you have to go on the fly. I can't train you for everything. Right. So I'm not mad at the department for training him or not training him for this scenario. What irritates me is when I see people who claim to want to have cops train jiu-jitsu, and there are videos that are horrendous. They're like, there are people in videos that should not be police officers. They're not physically capable of the job. They are so far out. They're making horrible decisions. I get it. But even those videos, I have a business, C4C PJJ, but my real business, my real passion, and you have a business Invictus. You have several, actually. You're quite an entrepreneur. But our real passion with both of our companies is not, we didn't start Invictus and PJJ to make a lot of money. When we started it, we were making zero money. It was a cost. We started it because we had a passion to help an industry we're a part of that we love and we want to see improvement. That's what our motivation was. It wasn't financial, certainly. So both of us have that passion. So my real business is getting more cops to train. That's my real business.
Yeah.
Now, that's another reason that we make collaborations with multiple companies. And we encourage people to train with multiple companies, because our real business is having an impact on this industry that we've served in, that we love, with men and women that we love, and we have a core relationship with, and we're trying to change things for the better.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, if that were my business, think of if our business was Weight Watchers. Okay, so you and I have a Weight Watchers business. So let's say we're passionate about people losing weight. Can
Yeah.
you imagine if we did a video of a fat person coming into our office and we made fun of them and mocked them, and then maybe some overweight person signs up with our Weight Watchers firm, and we catch them out eating like crap, violating the program. And then to build up our business, we post a picture of this fat person failing badly and say, come join Weight Watchers with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only people who comment are people who are in shape. That is what happens with BJJ training companies for cops. They post these stupid videos with no context, trying to shame these cops. Other people who train, many of them not cops, jump on and give their 2 cents about what they would have done or wouldn't have done, or how pathetic the person is. And I wonder if you're attracting anyone. I guarantee you, no one who trains watches a BJJ cops, not BJJ cop, not our guy, not Jason.
Yeah.
BJJ cops video where he says thoughts, and then every thought is eviscerating this cop who's going downrange and fighting, whether they're doing well or not. And some of them are horrendous. They're not defendable. Guess what? I'm not interested in building myself by showing videos of another dude or gal's failure and then saying, hey, look at me. If I was there, suspect would have been restrained safely, not even a blue team. Shut your face. That's what I say to those people. Or you have a BJJ training company like Henner does, and you've never even arrested anyone. You've never gone out on a single person. And you say, you and your brother put on a fake belt, and you say, oh, we were working. One time they did a breakdown of a live event. BJJ cop, who was Jason Reps, who was awesome. Everyone should follow him. And Justin Dalker.
Yeah. I remember this video.
He did a response, and it was nice. It wasn't even mean. Mm-hmm. It was reasoned, and said, hey, this got put out. It was critical of this cop. This was offered as a solution. And by the way, this is not a good solution. Mm-hmm. This is actually worse than the cop, because the cop didn't fail on a video to show how to do it the right way. But the cop fails. These people make a video. They say, this is the answer to this problem. And then Jason and Jay do a very nice video, very professional, not even snarky, just saying, hey, I can see how you might think this, but these are some of the issues with what got shown. And then those guys have a fit about these two guys who are cops and try to get in an argument with them about what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that just irritates me. That's what I mean when I say we eat our young. If our goal is to get cops to train, I guarantee the quickest way to not do that is to post a video of a cop not doing well and say you have females who could hold the guy down. You don't. You might, maybe, but that's flipping rare.
Yeah.
I see blue belts. If a cop is a blue belt, unless he's rare, there are cops who have competed at the highest levels who then become policemen. There are cops who also compete on a regular basis. There are some cops who are very, very talented. The majority of cops who are training that you and I are encouraging are not those cops. They're already training. Now, we want to give kudos to those cops, and we want to embrace them, those great ones. But we're trying to get the hobbyists, the everyday guy, the 17-year cop to go train. That 17-year cop is not going to get in a dominant position and stay in it for a 5-minute round. He's not. I've run rounds at the gym. I've run rounds at the gym where I said the only goal of this round is to stay in mount. And there are very few people who can do a 5-minute round and stay in mount. Very few.
Yeah.
Limited. The majority of people cannot do it. Hey, we're going to do a 5-minute round. You got back control. You have to stay here. No transitioning. When he flattens out and begins to escape and you moved him out, none of that. Stay dominant. I've run other rounds where I say you can move from dominant position to dominant position. I've run those rounds.
Yeah.
People lose dominant position. It is very rare. Casey Halstead, who's a great instructor who loves cops, 10th Planet, Las Vegas. I'll give them a shout out.
Yeah.
I'm in Casey's 6 a.m. class because I still like to go to classes and be a student. And Casey says to his students, I don't care if you're on top and you fall back for a leg lock after 20 seconds, even if you catch it and you're going with a white belt. That does not tell me you're advanced. You know what tells me you're advanced? Is if you can maintain side control top for 5 minutes and I can't get out. That tells me you're advanced.
Yeah.
He's a great jiu-jitsu coach. Casey says, if you can mount me, so if you mount me and immediately begin to escape and you get to half guard and I fall back for a heel hook and I go into ashi and I catch you, he goes, all that means is you can't hold mount. Now, I don't know if that's all that means. Like, I'll give you kudos if you fall back and hit a heel hook on me, right?
Yeah.
But I get his point. His point is, you show me, I don't give a crap about you falling off for these different submissions. Stay on top for the whole round. That's it. Then I know you're dominant. And so there's all these comments like about guys on the internet when they lose position. And sometimes, hey, I can watch a video and go, okay, that is a complete crap show. And that is horrendous. And that person shouldn't be a police officer. But I still don't need to build my brand or build our movement off of that. Now, here's what I do unabashedly, and I'm going to do it right now. If you're a police officer and you're overweight, you're failing. Okay? Get in shape. Do better. If you're a cop and you don't train, you're failing. If you are an instructor and you do not train, and by train, I mean fight humans in a mixed environment, and you are a DTI, you are failing. You are not doing your job. You shouldn't be coaching cops. If you won't go into a room and fight other humans, you should not be having students come to you. You shouldn't teach at the academy. You shouldn't be a DTI. You should be training. If you're a cop, you should be training 2 to 4 times a week, every week. If you are an instructor, it is mandatory. 2 to 4 times a week, every week. So I'll say that like I believe it. I'm going to preach that till my face turns different colors. But I'm not going to go take a video of a dude who's doing none of that and then try to build my own brand off that dude.
Right.
Like that's not happening. So I am going to start paying more attention to good videos and posting those and talking about them.
Yeah.
Another thing I will do is I will post random dudes fighting each other because I don't care about those guys. I don't care if I shame them because they're getting in fights in the street and they're idiots. And I will post those and go, look, this is bad. You should do this. I'll even post actual competition footage and say, this is a really good way to control somebody. This is something you could drill, or this was a big mistake. I'll do that all day long. Those guys are competing in front of cameras. They're, like if a pro athlete fights another pro athlete, but even those posts, I try to make them productive. So I do those posts. I will post footage of me doing well in training. I'll post footage of me tapping in training. I'll post that, but I'm not going to post random videos of police officers with no idea what went on. And even with that, I will say, I can see when it's a crap show. Like, I'm not saying you can't judge what happened on a call necessarily off a video. I'm not saying, like, You watch a video of someone who cannot stay on top and they get reversed and they end up on bottom and they start getting their face kicked in. You can reasonably say, okay, that guy needs to train.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't need to post a video of him failing and then put my company logo on it because I think it's nonsense.
But that's how you get views, right? And that is something, this is something that I absolutely promised myself that I would not do for Invictus. So if you look at our Instagram feed, and these incidents come out, I don't repost them. I don't put those videos on. And they're, the other stuff that we're posting is not sexy. It's like information and talking about stats and some training videos and stuff like that. And if I wanted to get views, I would put that stuff up. And a lot of people do it. So I just refuse to do it. And our brand probably takes a hit because of it, but we are trying to cater to a specific type of person because there's enough shit out there that does it. And I agree with you, Chad. I'd rather do the more productive stuff because that's what I think our industry needs.
Yeah. Could you ever imagine attracting? Can you think of a business or a movement that attracts by showing people who suck at whatever the business or the movement is? Caesars Casino
Yes.
wants to attract customers.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Do they show degenerate gamblers
No, you're showing the winners.
losing their money?
Yeah, you're showing the winners.
Show guys who suck at gambling?
Yes.
They show a guy having the worst night of his life and losing his shirt?
Yeah.
And say, hey, come to Caesars. And then other guys get on there and go, that guy sucks at blackjack. I would have won that hand.
Yeah.
10,000 comments. Like, does anyone else do this?
Yeah.
A restaurant. Hey, come eat at our restaurant. And then they show the person
food poisoning.
Up.
Yeah.
Like, does that happen?
Yeah.
Like, these guys are to your point, it does get views. I mean, look, I've failed on calls. I've not done well on calls. I haven't gotten beat up on a call, admittedly, and in those areas I've kind of thrived due to my training.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done things wrong. I've made mistakes. I've interviewed guys and stepped on myself. I've used poor interview technique in a very important situation before. I've gone the wrong way when I entered a room on a live raid. I've tripped entering we're entering the door on a hit. And I'm going through the front door and I trip and go down and I'm number one. And I'm barely keeping my gun orientated and everyone's running into me. I've done that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to show a video about me entering houses and falling down and then start talking about all kinds of crazy stuff? I don't think it's productive.
Yeah.
And my message is knock it off. Unless you can do a balanced, fair thing. And there are some breakdowns that can be decent, but even all of it, you're trying to draw attention to yourself. And some of that's not bad. I mean, I don't know. There's probably two sides to that story, right?
Yep.
But when it's so clearly to just mock this guy and it's just stupid. And some of them will do it and then go at the end. I saw one of them who's very popular who says he shows a video. Then he shows like he doesn't show seven. He shows multiple different options the kid could have done, none of which he has a taser in his hands. He's not even wearing a gun belt. He's not even in uniform, which is fine. Have to be. But if we're going to do a rendition of this kid and we're going to critique him, you probably ought to critique what happened on the call. Instead, he critiques how to maintain mount better and how to break him down and disrupt the house. He disregards the taser. Like he never mentions it. He's acts like it wasn't in the frame.
Mm-hmm.
He's showing arm extractions and using both hands.
Yep.
He's a pretty reputable guy. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, he goes, this is not meant to impugn or make fun of a guy. Well, then don't put his video up. Don't link his video to your video then. Just say, hey, this is a good way to control someone on the ground.
Right.
You linked it to his video, and I don't care about your disclaimer at the end. And then you showed stuff that he couldn't have done because he didn't have two hands. Now, if you started by saying, hey, it's clear there's some confusion. I understand why. When I look at how we train taser, I totally know why this kid doesn't know what to do with this taser. I get it. And one thing, we could have had a podcast. We offered some solutions today in our podcast. That could be productive because maybe he hears it and he goes, oh, yeah, I didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
These guys aren't coming after me.
Yeah.
They're actually trying to help me. I don't have a problem with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, okay, well, now it's in your hands and you're entangled. That could be a valuable video. There's a video of this kid entangled. This happens. If this happens, these are some things you could do. You could throw it at that point, but he's out in public. There's other people around. You could put it back. You could, you know what I mean? We could do something like that, and that might be productive. But even that, I'd be really careful of showing video of the kid and then showing video of me in a mat with no elevated heart rate, no pursuit, no nothing, unless I made those distinctions. And I said, hey, this is simply for learning. That could be productive, I guess.
Yeah.
But all these guys doing this, they're doing it for likes. They're doing it for clicks. They're doing it for comments. They get off on the comments and they're doing it to say, oh, well, I'm offering this kind of training and whatever, you know?
So I think they would come back to you, Chad, and go, no. This is for educational purposes, Chad. I think you're missing the point. We're putting it out there to show you that there are better ways to do it. So I think you're misreading it. Like, you think you're misreading it?
There could be some of that intent. I would ask them to think about, go read the comments on your post.
Yeah.
See if it looks educational.
Yeah.
Read the comments on my post and see
Yep.
if there's some educational content there, and read the comments on your post. It was a hit piece, even if you didn't mean it, and see what they're saying about that cop. Is anybody learning anything? They're all just saying what they think that cop is.
Yeah.
So if that is your purpose, and that could be out of fairness, you're missing the mark. Improve what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you doing this and then putting a little disclaimer that literally it is for educational purposes. Go read the comments.
Yeah.
You think anybody's having any real productive discussion? Or are we all making fun of this kid because we think he can't hold mount? And how literally I have people. So then out of fun, I'll click on their profile, private profile with 2 posts and very few followers. So I don't even know if the person could really hold mount who's saying they would hold mount. I notice John Danaher never says anything, or Gordon Ryan, you know. Now maybe they would, but Gordon's actually pro police. They do say you should train, and that's okay. But, and I agree with that. There's a hard line in the sand. We're, as an industry, one of the things you and I would like to see, and I'm speaking for you a little bit right now, but we've had these conversations. Police officers should train every week at work as part of their work day, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a week, every single week. That should be part of what we do. And it should be hands-on, and it should be largely grappling based.
Yeah.
I got no problem with that. If you are letting this job, if you either come into this job and you refuse to prepare yourself for what's going to happen on these calls, or you're now jaded and you don't want to, you hate your job or whatever, go do something else. Don't be a police officer. If I asked this week, I asked the cops in the room, if you needed cover and you called for cover, and the way it worked is you only get one, and it's you. It's not another person. You get on the radio. The way this works, I get in a fight with a bad guy and I need cover and I call for a car. In the universe, the only thing I get is a carbon copy of me. Are you happy on who's showing up? And if the answer is no, you should fix yourself, because you're the one I'm calling when I need cover. I don't mind saying those comments. I don't mind being honest. We tell the truth. But now I don't need to go find a video of a guy who's not going to be good cover and put it up, or put a picture of him and go, oh, this is what I'm talking about. This guy's not good cover.
Yeah.
This is self-reflection. Assess yourself,
Would
fix
you
yourself.
would you want you to come save yourself in a call? That's what it is. And it's true. So
Are you your own best backup?
totally. It's cliche, but it is true. Which is going to lead me into a very interesting lion share. Won't take very long, but this one's a little different. It's not so much a question, but it's a training tool that I'm going to ask you about and something that I do.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
but what I do in my training with my at my school is I have a portion at the end of class where I go, "Hey, there's a video that came out. It's pretty bad. We're all going to watch it and we're going to discuss it and we're going to troubleshoot it." Or I'll say, do you guys have any arrests that you made this week? And I can't tell you how many times it's like, hey, coach, I had an arrest that kind of went sideways. This guy was doing that. And we work it out and we break it down. It's not in front of cameras. And it's the benefit that we get from it is amazing. So, what's something that you do when you're coaching that other coaches out there that are listening can do to help train officers? Something a little bit unorthodox or something that you just is a Chadism?
Hmm. Well, I think yours is a great example. Studying film or video of live events is fine. Um, as long as you point out, especially if people start making a lot of comments about it, like in a briefing setting. We've actually done what you're doing in briefing settings at the
Yep.
police department.
Yep.
And if a guy or a gal is super loud about the person's failure on video and they don't train, then I will tell them, you're looking at you. You're watching a video yourself.
Yeah.
Like be careful. Let's train these things. Let's get it going. I think your example is a really good way to do that. I will pick positions or situations that I've seen over the years or that I've experienced or that I've trained or someone like you might have shown me um, positions, and then I will put them into those spots and we will try to work our way out of those spots. And so we will do that a lot at the end of class. The other thing I will do that you are doing is say, does anyone have anything that is not working for them? You're struggling with what? And then we'll address those things as well.
Yeah.
So we do some similar things.
Yeah. Great. Wow, you were on fire today. So we you can see that we're pretty passionate about this. Chad was this is going to make some good clips, I think. But some pretty valid things. I think before we leave, we got to stop eating our own. We
That's
got to make sure why we're putting up videos and for what reason. And we have to look at it through a different lens. Sometimes we look at it through the lens, the black belt lens, and we go, why? We could do better. Of course we could do better. But maybe we couldn't, right? So we just have to be careful. So
yeah. The biggest part about being better in the profession is getting more guys trained,
yeah,
getting more guys and gals trained. That's what the profession needs. The profession needs more training.
yeah,
And if you have people who are on the fence and you do it by attacking the profession, you have to attack what's wrong. And we did that good in the video. We
yeah,
don't have to rehash this. But I just don't think it's productive to I've just never, I don't know. I played on some pretty good sports teams. We never got better by watching crappy sports teams footage.
yeah.
Like not once. Like, look at how this team can't make a basket in basketball. We didn't watch their footage.
Hmm.
Look at how this team can't block. Like, unless it's us we're looking at on the video and we're pointing at each other, like that's not how we got better. So I want to see us get better and improve. And that comes in productive ways. And if what you're doing is producing non-productive comments, it's not working.
Yeah,
Like consider changing.
yeah. We have to stop turning conversations into conflicts. So
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
note, appreciate everyone. Thanks for listening to the No Zoo Lions podcast. And remember, follow us on nozoolions.com. And we'll be back with another episode. So remember, we don't follow us, lead with us. We'll talk to you guys soon.